Good day everyone. Our class today, we are going to talk about digraph. And when we are talking about digraph in English language, a digraph simply means two letters that produce one sound, two different letters like O and it sounds U. Have you seen that? Double O, it gives one sound. That is an example of a digraph. And as a privacy student, being SSCE student or JAM student, it is very paramount and it's very important we pay attention to these aspects, because as far as the exam is concerned, they usually focus on this particular. Even when we are solving our past questions, we must have come across OO, and it's usually confusing that, okay, this OO, he said this one, OO in book, he said it is short, and OO in food, it is long. What differentiates between this OO? How do I be able to differentiate between them? So it's very important we pay attention to them, and it's very easy for us to be able to differentiate between the digraph OO that is long and the one that is short. As for the digraph OOD that is short, OOD gives short U. OOD or OOD words like brotherhood, neighborhood, motherhood, and so on and so forth, as well as good, wood, all OOD, they give short U. And exceptional cases we have in this regard are food, mood, brood. These three words, they are OOD words, but they give long U. But apart from these three words, majority of our OOD give short U. Short U. That is the very easiest way to identify short U. OOD words, they usually give short U. The second instance in which we have short U is OOK words. Majority of our OOK words, they are short, like book, look, shook, and so on and so forth. Any OOK you can think of, they usually give short U. And in every rule, there is always exceptions. The exceptional case we have there is they are just spook and snooker. Both of them, they are OOK words, but they give long. First and second category in which we have short U have been mentioned, OOK words and OOD words. And the third instance in which we have short U, there are some certain words, just three words, that they give short U. They are suit, foot, and wool. Suit, foot, and wool. These three letters, these three words, they also give short U. Only these three words. I'm not saying OOL word or OOT word this time around. These just three words, these three words, they give short U. So this is the three categories in which we have short U. OOK words, that is the first instance. OOD words, that's the second instance. And these the three words, suit, foot, and wool, they give short U. All the rest of OO, digraph OO that give U sound, I'm not talking of blood right now. OO, we have in blood, we have OO, but it's not gives U sound, it gives O instead. That is Welsh and carrot sound. We are coming to that. But all OO that give U sound, that are not part of the above mentioned, they are long U. That's where we have example like moon, spoon, room, school, and so on and so forth. Once it is not OOK words, it is not OOD words, and it's not part of the three words that we mentioned, they usually give long U. So with this, you should be able to identify and to choose correct answer anytime you come across any similar question, any question related to digraph OO. Vowel sounds. A vowel sound is an open sound produced without obstruction by teeth, tongue, lips, or other speech organs. Or we can say a vowel sound is any open sound where there is no obstructions or blockage caused by teeth, tongue, lips, palate, or any other articulator. So whenever the time we pronounce any sound in English that we do not use any of these mentioned organs, so that means we are pronouncing vowel sound. That's all about vowel sound. And when in English language, as we have 5 vowel letters, we have 20 vowel sounds, in which all these 20 are going to be examined. So let us start with let us start like this. So when we're talking about vowel sound, we have 20 vowel sound and it's classified into 2. We have monophthong, we have diphthong. This monophthong and diphthong, all together, they have 20 vowel sound. And monophthong has 12 sounds and diphthong has 8 sounds. We are going to examine all these sounds one after the other. And what we mean by monophthong in vowel sound? You know, mono simply means one. So we can say a monophthong is one single vowel sound. Any vowel sound that produces one single sound that we have like steady mouth position from start to finish when we pronounce it. So that is an example of a mono vowel sound. So and it is called monophthong. For instance, if I say producing or pronouncing a sound, have you seen that my mouth position didn't change from the beginning to the end? That's is an example of mono vowel sound, which is called monophthong. So and we have like that, we have 12 monophthong sound, and we have but when you're talking about diphthong, it's also vowel sound, but this one produces 2 different sounds. For instance, if I say oi, o is one sound, e is another sound, so they are together, they form diphthong because it is the mixture of 2 different vowel sounds. So but when we're talking now, we are focusing on monophthong, which has 12 different sounds. Let me introduce to you the 12 monophthong sound we have. And in my introduction, I'm going to classify the monophthong into 2. We have short monophthong and long monophthong. Short has 7 sound and long has 5 sound. Altogether makes our 12 vowel sound we have in English language. So these are the 12 monophthong sound we have. A, e, o, u, correct sound and schwa sound. That makes 7. That makes the 7 of our short monophthong. Then we move to the long. A, o, e, u. So it means that the long aspect is just the longer version of the short. So these are the 12 monophthong we have. Have you seen that all this pronunciation we have now, all of them from number 1 to the 12th one, all of them are being pronounced without changing in a steady mouth position from start to finish. So that is why it is called monophthong. Though it may be long, there will elongate some, but despite the fact of our elongation, it still remains steady position. So that is why that's when we have monophthong. So for instance, we said a as we have it in cat, e, pet, e, pit, o, pot, u, put. Correct sound, son. Schwa sound, teacher. Number 8, the longer version of them is card, word, seat, pork, boot. Let us now start taking them one after the other. Short a, as in letter A. Short a as we have it in apple. When do we have short a? There is a general principle that's applicable to all our vowel letters. A, E, I, O, U, regarding their forming of short form. So whenever the time we have, and the principle says, whenever the time we have any of these vowel letters in between two consonant letters, they usually give short A. Most of our vowel letters that are placed in between two consonant letters, they usually give short A. For instance, so that is why I make this one as the first instance when you have short A. Short A occurs when letter A is in between two consonant letters. For instance, we have bag, cat, man, rat, and so on and so forth. So in cat, for instance, C is a consonant letter, T is also a consonant letter, and we have letter A in between them, between C and T. So letter A will give short A. So the same thing applicable to map and rat. So they are all A in all these instances, they are short. And that's why we call them A. They are short and they are monophthong. And the second instance, when we have short A, it is possible we have them at the beginning of the sentence, as we have apple, ant, ad, and many like that. So we have to focus on pronunciation this time around. To the short A, always remember the rule I stated earlier, that whenever the time we have any of the vowel letters A, E, I, O, U in between two consonant letters, they usually give short U, short form. So here we have short A. Whenever the time we have letter E in between two consonant letters, they are short, they give short form. For instance, pen, bed, men, net. Letter E in pen, bed, men, net, red, they are all short. So now letter I, as we have it in ink. So we have short E, I mean I this time around, as we have it in seat, pit, fish, bit, milk. Have you seen that all these E that I pronounce, they are in between two consonant letters, they are short form of E. And we also have, whenever the time we have letter I in the beginning of this, at the beginning of sentence, they are usually short also. Any sound that gives E sound, they are short form of E. Ink, interest, indirect. So the same thing applicable to O. Whenever the time we have letter O in between two consonant letters, they are short. Pot, hot, dog, lot. So, and sometimes this letter O, if it's found at the beginning of the sentence, it should also give short O. For instance, orange, and so on and so forth. So, and lastly, short U. Whenever the time you have letter U in between two consonant letters, they give short U. For instance, put, full, wool. Or we have, as I mentioned in our diagraph, when we are explaining diagraph OO, that all OOD words, they are short, all OOK words, they are short, except the exceptional cases that I mentioned in the previous class when I was explaining diagraph. So still in the monophthong, I told you that we have short monophthong and long monophthong. After the explanation of the short ones, so we are now moving to the long ones, and we have 5 long monophthong sound as well, and they are A, E, O, U. As I said earlier, that they are just the longer version of the short. So when do we have long A? When do we have long E, long E, long O, long U? These are things that we are going to examine now. So we have long A. So the first rule states that letter A plus silent R. Whenever the time we have A plus silent R, so they usually give long R. So for instance, car, C-A-R. Have you seen that the R is silent, it's not pronounced? The same thing applicable to far, star, mark. So and so on and so forth. Whenever the time you see R after A and the R is silent, so that gives long R. So when you're talking of arrange, so it's not part because R there is pronounced. That is the first A plus silent R. The second rule, rule 2, states A before certain consonant words. It means that there are some certain consonant words that whenever the time A comes before them, it will make us have long R. So those are LM, LF, SS, TH, and SK. So for instance, have you seen that in calm, we have CALM. A, after the A, we have L and M, so that A will be long. The same thing applicable to BAM, have, carve, pass, class, bath, father, ask, task, and so on. Now to the long so we have explained earlier when we have short so this is now we are going to talk about long when do we have long we have our long whenever the time we have IR word, UR, ER, WOR, EAR. So as we have it in bird, especially all those things at the middle, they usually give a sound. Bird, girl, shirt, first, third. Have you seen that all these are long and they are IR at the middle of the words? The same thing, turn, born, church, heart, nurse, time, verse, serve, work, and so on and so forth. So whenever the time we have any of these words, IR, UR, ER, WOR, and so on and so forth. Now to the long E. We have our short E, as explained earlier, that whenever the time we have letter I in between two consonant letters, they usually give shorts like sit, pit, and so on and so forth. But we have our long E when we have EE, EA, IE, and EI, as we have it in field, peace, receive, seize, then E plus consonant plus silent E. We have whenever time we have letter E, then we have consonant letter, and the E that follows that consonant letter is not pronounced. It's a silent one. The first E, usually the penultimate, usually gives long E. For instance, scheme, scene, theme. In theme, for instance, THEME, EME, the first E before M, it will give long. The same thing in scene, ENE, E before N will give long E. Scheme, these, ESE, the first E before S also will give long. Moving on gradually, now moving on to long O. We have our long O, number one, when we have O plus silent R. So it means that R serves as elongation letter. So O plus silent R, like we have it in form, in short, bomb, pot, and so on and so forth. That's number one. The second instance is A plus W, like pawpaw, law, draw. Number three, A plus U, like pause, cause, author, August. Then the fourth one, O-U-G-H, that gives all sound. No, O-U-G-H it has different pronunciation, but whenever time it gives all sound, it gives long O, like bought, thought, fought, brought. And the fifth instance is when we have A-L or A-L-K, like chalk, talk, walk, ball, and call. On a final note, long U. When do we have long U? I brought here 5 instances in which we have long U. The first instance is when we have digraph OO that give U sound. I told you that all OO that give U sound, they are long, except OOK and OOD. OOK is short, OOD is short. So apart from these ones and exceptional cases that I mentioned, and like suit, foot, wool, all OO that give O sound, they are long. That is the first instance in which we have long O. The second instance is U plus consonant letter plus silent E. We have U, we have consonant letter, and we have silent E. That U we give U, long U. For instance, flute, cute, rude. In rude, for instance, as an example, we have R-U-D-E. U, vowel letter, D is consonant letter, and E is silent. It means that the U will be a long one. Number 3, UE at word ending, like blue, true, clue, dew. UE in blue, in true, they are long. And the fourth one, OU words like group, soup, youth, and so on and so forth. And the last one, number 5, O in some special words. We have some certain words that they are just one O, that O, but it gives U sound. Like now to the last two vowel sounds, which are Welsh and schwa sound. The Welsh is also called carat sound. When do we have Welsh? So I state like 4 or 5 different places in which we use Welsh. But I can say the general rule guiding using of Welsh is whenever the time we have things, we have a sound, a particular sound that initially supposed to give U sound, but it gives O sound instead, you use Welsh. What do I mean? For instance, letter U. You know, normally whenever time you see U, it's supposed to give U sound, like put. U there, it pronounced as U normally. Usual, U starts and we pronounce it as U, U, and so on and so forth, like that. But whenever the time we have letter U that gives O sound, we use Welsh or carat sound. That's why I say use the Welsh sound. Number 1, when letter U sounds like Yoruba O, it usually gives Welsh sound. For instance, trust. Normally it is U, it's supposed to be trust based on the default pronunciation, but instead we said trust. So it means that U will be Welsh. The same thing, support, hug, shot, run, boss, lock, fun, shun. So all these, they give Welsh or carat sound. The second place, or the second instance in which carat sound or word sound is used is when we have OO. The same thing applicable to the first, the one I state. Normally, letter digraph OO supposed to give U sound, but this time around it gives O sound in blood and flood. Also, when OU words sound like O, most of the time we use Welsh. For instance, young, touch, enough, country, trouble, double, cousin. In all these instance examples I brought, OU, but they give out sound, we use carat sound or Welsh. Don't forget that carat sound is also known as Welsh. So it can be called carat sound, it can be called Welsh. And finally, we use Welsh in some certain words, and it is highly advisable to memorize these words, because the many past questions, if you have started solving past questions, you have come across some of these words that the examiners, they test on the vowel sound. So son, based on the normal rule, you're supposed to give short O. All these examples I brought. So it means that there are some letter O in between two consonant letters that you're supposed to give O sound, but they violate the rule, they give carat sound instant. So among them are son, come, some, brother, other, love, one, month, money, done, and some other few words. All these words, they give, although O, letter O in these words, they give Welsh instead of O sound. So you have to pay attention to those words like that, brother, son, and so on and so forth. They give Welsh. Now to the schwa sound. When we are talking about schwa sound in English language, schwa sound is the weakest form of pronunciation, and all our vowel letters can have schwa sound. We can use all our A, E, I, O, U as schwa sound whenever time we find them in a word. But it has some conditions before we can say this one is schwa sound. So let me state some conditions, some rules guiding schwa sound. Take note that when we are talking about schwa sound, it can only be found in an unstressed syllable. It means that when you have a word, maybe it is two syllabic words, it has two syllables, and one is stressed and the second syllable is not stressed. For instance, father, father, father. We have two syllables. The first syllable is fa, the second one is the. And in this particular instance, fa is stressed, the is not stressed. It means that our schwa sound will be in the second syllable, and so on and so forth. So there are some rules guiding the stress, but the part of them is that if the word concerned is a preposition or verb, the stress is usually be in the second syllable. But if the word is a noun, the stress is an adjective, it is always in the first syllable. So most of the time, that is the general rule. Though there are some words violate this rule, but that's the general rule. For instance, in our example that I brought, the same thing, mother, brother, all these words, they are nouns, and so the stress will be found in the first syllable. That's why the second syllable is unstressed, is unstressed, and it has schwa sound. So for instance, another example, about. Have you seen that this about is a preposition and it is a two-syllabic word, about. That's why, and it's a preposition, as I said, the stress will be on the second syllable. So it means that the first syllable will be unstressed, and that's where our schwa sound will be found. Another important thing we have to know about schwa sound is that, there are some words that will have morphemes. For instance, doubtful. Though this word is two-syllabic word, doubtful, but the head word is doubt. Full is the another one. So this particular word, we cannot. What I'm trying to say is that it's not possible to have our schwa sound in a suffix or prefix. Anything that comes before the before the root word, it should not take the schwa sound. For instance, unfaithfulness. This we have unfaithfulness. We have four different morphemes. Four different morphemes. On is the morpheme. Faithful. Faith is another morpheme. Full, another morpheme. Ness is another morpheme. So we have four different morphemes. And our main word is faith. The root word is faith. Others are just prefix and suffix. So this particular example, it's not possible. We say we can find our schwa sound in on or fullness. Schwa sound can only be found in a root word. If we have these two root words that has more than one syllabic word, so we can find our schwa sound there. If